it's Dannii. So for today's video I thought I would film a first impressions tutorial because I've picked up a few new makeup bits lately, and I've also got a few bits in my collection from a few months ago which I still haven't tried out yet. So I thought instead of doing a haul I would just get all of these pieces together and film a makeup look. I pretty much have a product for every single part of my face, which is good, so everything pretty much will be a first impression. So I've just got everything here in my Selfridges bag because this is the last place I went makeup shopping, so yeah, I'll just get started. So the first product is the Kai Radiant Gel Bronzer, and this is kind of like a primer slash bronzing liquid which you can apply underneath your foundation or you can mix it in with your foundation. I tried it on my hand when I was in the shop and it looked so nice, so I'm really excited to try this. So as with all Kai products, it has beautiful packaging, and this is really handy packaging as well because it's really nice and lightweight to travel with, and it's got an easy squeeze tube, so yeah, it's easy to use. So I'm not sure how much of this to use. I'm just going to squeeze some onto my finger. On first impressions it is quite liquidy, but I think that'll just mean it blends really nicely into the skin. And as you can see, hopefully, it is quite dark, so if you are a paler skin tone than me, I would recommend maybe mixing this with your foundation or using it quite sparingly. Okay, so I've blended it all in and it's actually really nice. It doesn't look as dark once it is all blended in. You can see it's only a little bit darker than my neck, which is really nice, and it just was so nice to blend in. I wouldn't actually say it's very radiant. I do think it's more of a matte finish or maybe a natural finish, but maybe throughout the day that will change and it will give you a radiant glow. I don't know. So on top of that, I'm going to use the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation. I picked it up quite a while ago and I have used it a couple of times, but not really long enough to make up my full opinion on it. So I'm just going to use it again today. So I'm just going to give it a bit of a shake and then pop off the lid and just put some on my fingers and then dot it around my face. So with most products, when I'm first trying them out, I tend to use maybe a pea-sized amount or just a little bit more because I don't want to have it looking too heavy. And I'm just going to blend that in with my Kevyn Aucoin foundation brush, which is my fave. So I've been trying to make my mind up about this foundation and I just don't know. In my opinion, if you don't use too much of it, it looks really natural and I think it looks very skin-like. It doesn't necessarily look matte nor glowy, so it's a really nice everyday foundation. My skin is fairly normal, so I can get away with quite normal matte foundations, whereas if you are a little bit oily, I would say maybe use it with a primer to make it look a lot nicer, or even if you're quite dehydrated and dry, you might want to use a radiance primer as well to make sure that it's not going to cling to any dry patches. I've applied a really light layer of this and blended it in really well, and I think it looks really natural and skin-like, especially paired with the Radiance Bronzing Primer that I use. I think you can barely tell that I'm wearing foundation in my opinion, so I do really like that for a day-to-day makeup look. You could build it up if you wanted to, but I'm just going to leave it there, and I will say with this foundation it does last really well on the skin as well, so if you do have trouble finding a foundation which stays on your skin well, I would recommend this. Next up is concealer, and I'm going to be using the By Terry Terribly Dangerous Concealer. I picked this up maybe a week ago in Space & K, and I have used it once or twice, but I'm not really 100% sure on the colour. When I first tried it, it was perfect, but then when I tried it again, it was a little bit too dark, but I think that's because I didn't use a bronzing base, which I always normally do. I have the shade 5 Desert Beige, and it just comes in this really beautiful packaging. This is the kind of packaging which I'd really want displayed on my dressing table, and that's definitely what I'm going to do once I've moved. It's packaged really well, the seal on it is really tight, and the applicator is a really nice shape and just holds onto the right amount of product. So I'm just going to put this underneath my eyes and around my nose and on any kind of redness or scars. And then I'm just going to blend it out with this brush, which is the Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush. I got this ages ago. I don't always use it for concealer, but sometimes it's quite nice. Okay, so trying it again with the bronzing base, I would say this is actually my perfect shade of concealer. It's not too light or too dark, it's just kind of like a true skin tone for me. So it is really nice and it does cover really nicely. I am going to put a tiny bit more under my eyes just because I find when I use a brush it does brush a little bit away. But yeah, I really do like this. I think in the winter though I will have to pick up one shade lighter, maybe 2 shades lighter. One thing I do really like about this concealer is that I used it in London and I was wearing my makeup for a full day and it just did not crease. I didn't even use a primer that day, which I normally do, and it looked really nice all day long, so that's really good if you're looking for a long wear concealer. So I just applied a tiny bit more to my darkest areas of my under eyes, and now they're perfectly concealed. So next is not such a new product, but one which I don't think I've used that much in my videos, and it is the Burberry Fresh Glow Compact Foundation, and I have the shade Rosy Nude, and although this says it's a compact foundation, I do use it as a powder as it is very, very light. So I'm just going to dust that all over my face with the Real Techniques Duo Fibre Face Brush. This powder doesn't necessarily need setting, but because I am going out tonight, I do want to look especially nice, so I don't want it to budge at all. Next, I'm going to move on to brows, and I picked this up a really long time ago, but I've just never used it, and it is the Soap & Glory Archery 2-in-1 Brow Pencil, and I have the shade Brown and Out, which I'm guessing is the only brown shade, and yeah, I just thought I'd use this as an alternative to my Chantecaille. So I'm just brushing my brows out with a spoolie before I use this. I normally like brow pencils with a spoolie on the end because it's a lot easier when travelling, but oh well, this one is only cheap. In terms of the nib, it is very similar to the Chantecaille one and the Hourglass one, but colour-wise, let's see. On first impressions, it is very, very waxy, and this is very loose, so it does roll up and down quite easily. For me, I do prefer a bit of a softer pencil, which is why I changed from the Hourglass to the Chantecaille, but if you are looking for a budget brow pencil, it's not too bad. Because it is so waxy, it is quite hard to get defined brows with it, especially because the nib is so big, but at the same time, it's quite hard to go overboard, so I guess that's a good thing. One thing I do like about it though is that because it is so waxy, it does actually really help to keep your hairs in place, so you could probably go without a brow mascara, what are they called? Brow gel if you wanted to. Okay, so that's the brows all done, and I will say I'm not a huge fan just because it does take quite a long time to work with, and I found it really hard to get the brows that I like, so yeah, probably won't be using it again, but if you are looking for a budget option, maybe it's one to just try out just in case you do like it. So I've got another new product for my brows, and this is the Illamasqua Brow Build, and I have the shade Thrive, which is the brown shade. I don't know whether it's the darkest brown or not, but I will link it down below anyway so you can see the shade range. I normally use a clear brow gel, but I've pretty much finished it, so I thought I'd try a coloured one for a change, and this one actually has little fibres in it as well, so it's meant to help build your brows, which is amazing. So I've just applied that all through my brows, and I do really like it. Although it does build the brows, it is very subtle, so it leaves your brows looking really natural, and they do feel very secure and in place without being crispy. So we'll see how that lasts throughout the day. And now that I've done my brows, I am just going to go in with a little bit of concealer underneath my brow bone just to tidy everything up, because they do need a bit of a pluck. Okay, so next I'm going to move on to contouring, and I'm going to use the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate palette in the shade Intensity 1. I do think I've used this before, but only once, so I thought I'd use it again in case you haven't seen that video. So it contains two shades, one bronzy shade, which is for your contour, and then one white pearly highlighting shade. So I've got a clean brush. This is the Real Techniques contouring brush, I believe. It's from their Bold Metals collection, and I'm actually going to do the highlighter first, just so that I can use the same brush for both products. So I'm just going to put that on the tops of my cheekbones. And this mirror is so good, it's so clear, and it's a really good size. And I'm also going to put this a little bit above my brow, just to kind of strobe a little bit. And whilst I'm here, I'm just going to put a little bit on the bridge of my nose and on my cupid's bow. So I really like this product. I really like the highlight. It's really nice and natural, and it leaves your skin looking really dewy and fresh. I do hear a lot of people say that they don't like the highlight too much and they just like the contour, but I love both, and you'll see the contour in a second. So this is quite a dark contour, so you don't want to apply too much straight away. And I'm just applying it into the hollows of my cheekbones and blending it upwards. So that's just one layer. I'm just putting a little bit more. Just literally a dab. And remember to blend it into your hairline so it doesn't look too harsh. And then I'm also just going to apply a little bit to my temples. And then whilst I'm at it, I think I'm just going to apply a little bit to my nose, just because I never do, and I want to see what it looks like. So I'm just using the brush I used for my concealer. I'm literally just doing this so lightly because I don't want it to be overboard. So I'm not sure how that looks, but oh well, I've done it anyway, and we'll see how it looks at the end of the tutorial. So next, just to set my contour in place, I'm going to use the By Terry Sun Designer palette in this shade number 2, Light and Tan Vibes, and I'm just going to be using the bronzer shades. So I'm going to use my NARS brush for this and just kind of bronze slash set the contour. And then for highlighter, just to set the highlighter I already put on in place, I'm going to be using the Hourglass Ambient Strobe Lighting Powder in the shade Brilliant Strobe Light. I'm just going to be using a Morphe brush for this. I don't know what this is called, the M556 apparently. And I'm just going to be dusting this over the highlight I've already done. I really like this because it's really nice and subtle if you just want a day-to-day highlight, and it just feels so nice to apply. So because I'm going for quite a bronze look, I'm not actually going to use blush today. So next I'm going to move on to eyes. So for my eyeshadow, I'm going to be using the Burberry Eye Colour Cream in the shade Mink. And I recently tried this, I got it for my birthday, and I have actually included it in a blog post on my blog along with the Burberry powder. So I'll link that down below. So this is a cream eyeshadow. It's a really nice minky colour, as the name suggests. It's just a really nice day-to-day brown. It does come with a little brush, which I did try and use, but it's not the best, so I am actually just going to use my finger. This is quite a sheer product, so if you want a really smoky brown eye, you will need to build it up quite a lot, or maybe just go for something else, but for a really nice day-to-day wash of colour, it's so nice. So that's the cream eyeshadow, and then I'm just going to apply a little bit of another eyeshadow on top, and this is the NARS Dual Intensity eyeshadow in the shade Kari. I absolutely love these eyeshadows. I really love the cute little packaging, and this one is just a really pretty purpley, pinky kind of shade. And then I'm just going to apply that with my favourite little H&M eyeshadow brush, which I have no idea what this is called or even if they still make it. And I'm kind of just going to focus this on the centre of my lid. When it's on the eyes, although it is a little bit pinky purple, it does come out slightly brown too, so it's really nice for a daytime look, just to add a little bit more dimension to your eyeshadow. And just to be sure, I'm just going to blend everything with my NARS eyeshadow brush. And then for mascara, I recently picked up the Full Fat Lashes from Charlotte Tilbury, and this is her older mascara. I was going to pick up the new one, but I haven't heard such great things, so I thought I'd stick to this one for now. Mascaras I find a little hard to judge on the first use because I do find that when they're brand new they can be a little bit too wet, but we'll just see how it goes. Okay, so I really like this mascara. Hopefully you can see the difference between my two eyes. This is the one that I've done. This is actually a really good mascara from the get-go, I think. Although it's called Full Fat Lashes, it's not actually as full and volumizing as you would think, but it does really catch each individual hair to make your lashes look very naturally full. I wouldn't say this mascara is too over the top, and it doesn't really get clumpy, and it doesn't add too much length. It's just the perfect amount for, I think, a daytime look. If you're someone like me who really struggles to find a good mascara and you just want one which is going to make your lashes look really nice for every day, then I would really actually recommend this one. And now I'm just going to finish my other eye. So I've just gone and put a little bit on my bottom lashes as well, and yeah, this definitely isn't a mascara for you if you want a really dramatic long lashes look, but if you want really natural looking lashes with a lot of volume, then I do think this is a great one to go for. And then lastly, I'm going to stray from my usual everyday look, and I'm not going to use a nude lip. I'm actually going to use one of the Kylie Lip Kits. I am going to be filming a video all about these. I did pick up I think 5 shades, but I thought I'd use one in a tutorial, so I decided to use Posie K today because it's probably the most out there day-to-day colour that I could wear from the bunch. So I have used a couple of the other shades, and I do really like both of the nude shades that I picked up, but I haven't tried this one, so we'll see how it goes. So the liners are really creamy, so I'm going to be really careful. So I've just lined my lips, and then I'm just going to fill them in as well. These pencils are really nice and creamy, so it doesn't dry out your lips doing this, and it just really helps the liquid lipstick to stay on. And so this is the liquid lipstick itself. As I said, this is the shade Posie K, and I'm just going to apply this all over my lips. So this is the colour on, and although I don't normally go for colours like this, I actually really like it. It's a really pretty muted pinky purple kind of shade, and it looks really nice. This is a really nice summer colour, but I do think it could also work really well in the autumn too, if you want a bit of colour that isn't too in your face. Okay, so my camera just died and it is a little bit darker now, but I thought I would just finish off this video anyway and just finish talking about the Kylie Lip Kit lipstick. So yeah, one thing I will say about these, I'll speak about it more in depth in the actual review video I do, but one thing I will say about these is that they do leak a tiny bit. I wouldn't say they leak out of the bottle, but it is quite messy around the lid area just because the seal isn't very good, but the applicator is really nice to use. So yeah, just a little point about these. So this is the finished look. I really hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed creating it. I actually really love most of these products. I really like the look that I've created here, and I think the skin looks really nice and fresh and glowy and bronze. I'll definitely be using this base combination a lot more now, as I just think it looks so good. I don't know what you think, but that's what I think. So I will link everything that I've used in the description box, along with all of my links and links to any relevant videos or blog posts. Do leave me a comment letting me know what products you've tried recently which you really love, or do let me know if you are going to pick up any of these products. And also let me know if you like this kind of first impression tutorial video by giving this video a thumbs up. And yeah, please do subscribe to see more of my videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye!